Hey, okay, so the first video is doing fairly well. I've been tweeting it like crazy. I went to Twitter jail because I sent it to so many people, but I hope you guys liked it. I hope you laughed a little bit. So now let's get to business. I told you guys I was going to talk about different types of guys. Now, I wrote a disclaimer because, sometimes it's not always going to be the case. Again, I'm going to say this is from my personal experiences that I've had with certain types of guys. But before I even get into all of that, I have a few questions that were addressed to me about, I guess, relationships and being with people that you care about. Let me stop this music first. Alright, so, would I date someone with a different religious background? I would say yeah. Just because we disagree in one area doesn't mean that the compatibility or communication is sabotaged because we have different views on something. I think it's kind of unfair to, I guess, make that the reason that you don't talk to someone or aren't with with a certain person. So yeah, I guess I would. I don't see anything wrong with that. Would I relocate for a spouse? I have 2 points of views on that. And it only depends on if we have children. So, I mean, obviously that's far off. But I don't think that I would want to relocate for my spouse unless it was helping keep us safe or if it was going to financially benefit us. And that's if we have kids. On top of the fact that I don't just... the ages and uprooting kids, that can be like a really stressful time. You especially if friendships and you've been living somewhere for years and all that, it's all been established. You don't want to just snatch them out of that environment, or I wouldn't at least. But I mean, if it was just me and my spouse, and I guess if that was a sacrifice that I was gonna have to make, and I could still pursue my dreams or whatever as well, I guess I would uproot, as long as, I'm not lonely and bored because due to the move. Whatever. Could I deal with my spouse making more money than me? Yeah, I can deal with that. There's no problem with somebody making more money than me. Let's make a game out of it. See who can stack their paper the most. Like, we could just be bosses together. But I definitely think that until you're making joint financial investments that are like bigger things, like maybe a car or a place to live or something of that sort, I wouldn't really expect my spouse to make more money than me, only because I'm not the type of person that's big on the flashy. I do feel like if you're courting me and this is new and you would like to be with me and spend time with me, I think that a guy should definitely, take me out or, do what's necessary for the courting process. And then after that, if we've established some sort of relationship, I mean, I still would kind of hope that a guy would still enjoy taking me out and spending money on me. But I don't think that I would necessarily be upset if, we started doing stuff like 50-50. And it's never wrong for a girl to treat a guy to do something. But I do feel like in the beginning, as long as you can take care of yourself, then we're okay. I mean, and even throughout the whole thing, what am I saying? As long as you can take care of yourself, that's great. Taking care of me on top of that is even better. So, I mean, I'm independent. We need to all be independent women. Just saying. Would I marry a man with kids? Personally, I don't think I would. But I guess you never know. Sometimes the heart wants what the heart wants, and you can't help it. Can you as a female handle your man having female best friends? don't mind if my guy has female friends, especially friends that he's had before our relationship was even established, because I feel as though, if that was gonna be any type of anything, it would have been before I came along. So obviously he asked me to be with him for a reason. He didn't see that in his friend, I guess. But I do think that it's kind of a red flag if a guy is with you and a girl comes out of nowhere and becomes his best friend, because that just kind of, something about that doesn't seem right. You can keep your friends that you had before, but upon us establishing a relationship, you shouldn't be developing new best friendships. I should then step up to the plate to be that best friend for you. Reading some stuff that I wrote. I took notes on the questions that were sent to me. I guess I'll just move on to the. Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna make a comment to not be naive to a guy creating new friends or past friendships, because obviously everybody's not gonna know everything. What you do between another person is between you and that other person. So there's no telling. I would just say to make sure you're not too naive. It's always okay to trust and be okay with what your significant other is saying, but don't completely block out the fact that something could have been there before. Do you think having passwords to each other's email, Facebook, Twitter, phone, etc. make the relationship better or worse? I had a lot to say about this. I think that having each other's passwords could either be okay in certain relationships, or it could cause a lot of problems. I think that if you feel the need to have your significant other's passwords, then you need to reevaluate your relationship with them, because you're having some sort of trust issues. Obviously, if there's like something just random, like maybe you're looking for somebody's phone number and you're like, oh, babe, I have that. It's in my blah, 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 blah. Like, go get on my Twitter. Here it is, blah, blah, blah. Things like that. Like, if you're doing something for a purpose, grab what you need and go. Don't stick around to be fishing and trying to figure out, like, oh, let me read this and see what they were talking about. There should never be a point where you feel like you have to snoop on your significant other. Like, you shouldn't be snooping, because if you're snooping, you got some trust issues going on. And you start snooping, you mess around and find something, and you make assumptions, and through those assumptions, you either start acting a little different towards your partner, or through those assumptions, you actually bring it to your partner. And either way, that kind of, it might upset or make things tense and unnecessary drama for no reason. So, yeah, sometimes it isn't a big deal. Sometimes, it's just whatever, you're open. And I feel like every relationship should be open. If you come and say, hey, can I look at this, blah, 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 it should just be like, oh, okay, sure. I don't really care. There's nothing there anyway. But, you definitely want to be careful not to go looking for things, because 9 times out of 10, you might see something that makes you a little bit uneasy, and not everyone is always comfortable with addressing a situation without having some sort of emotion tied to it. Do you think you can be in a relationship with someone and don't trust them 100%? There's no way in hell that you can have a healthy, again, I'm going to say, no way in hell that you can have a healthy relationship without trust. how much you trust somebody. I mean, there's got to be a majority of your feelings of trust. It should be a majority of your feel. Like, you should feel like, oh yeah, I can trust my partner. Maybe there's like some smaller things that you kind of have a guard up about, but you should definitely almost 100%, if not 100%, trust your partner. And if you don't, that's kind of something I feel like you might want to explore if you're going to continue to be in a relationship, because it could instantly start turning into a downward spiral. And that's something that I don't think anyone really wants to experience and go through. I went through it, and it taught me a lot, but I definitely will never enter a relationship with someone without trusting them. So, and it, needless to say as well, it's possible that even if your trust was broken by someone, it's possible to be able to trust other people, because you can't hold one man accountable for another man's mistakes. So, think about that. What are 5 things you must have in a relationship in order for it to work? My top 5, not in any specific order, are honesty, communication, loyalty, trust, and comedy. Honesty, like Drake says, everybody talks, everybody listens, but somehow the truth always comes up missing. It's inevitable. That's how it goes almost all the time. It's always a he said, she said, or somebody threw me under the bus, or this isn't how it went. And honestly, I feel like you should just tell the truth to your partner just for telling the truth. Oh yeah, I went to lunch with X, Y, and Z the other day, blah, blah, blah. Because you don't want it to be like, oh yeah, somebody comes into your spouse's ear, your significant other's ear, and they're like, yeah, your girl or your guy, they were out with so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. Then you're sitting there like, what? I didn't know that. And could cause a whole whirlwind of unnecessary drama, especially if you tell it how it is. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be like, oh, okay, so what? You went to lunch with so-and-so. Did you have fun? Like, it'll be less like, I found out that you did this, that. Bad, bad, bad for relationships. Communication. Clarity is key. Be clear. If you're saying, babe, let's meet at 5 o'clock for dinner. Meet at 5 o'clock. Don't be like, hey, let's meet later, and then get an attitude because later ended up being 9:30. Like, be clear about what you want or what time you guys are going to go do stuff. Just keep it clear. And I promise, like, things will just be like, okay. Then that way, somebody breaks time or whatever, you got to be like, hey, we were here. You said you were going to be on time. What's going on? And they better have a good excuse, girl or boy. Loyalty, I'm going to come back to that. Trust. Trust falls into place with everything else. When you trust, your communication is a lot better. You're a lot more loyal. You keep your honesty. Like, it just kind of helps gel everything in one. Your trust just it becomes natural. So much so to the point where you don't even worry about certain things. And like I said, there is no way in hell you can have a healthy relationship without trust.